Hey guys, it's Ness. Before I start today's video, I do just want to let subscribers of my channel know that I am running a quick giveaway over on Twitter. I'll leave the link in the description for you to enter. I know not a lot of people use Twitter as religiously as what I do, just so I thought I'd let you know in this video that if you are subscribed, there is a chance that you could win books or book up to a value of £15 on Amazon or Book Depository if they ship to your country. It's open to you. And I just wouldn't want my subscribers missing out on that opportunity because you don't use Twitter that often. Thank you to everyone that subscribed to me recently and got me to my next milestone of 1,500 subscribers. I really appreciate it, and that was a goal I had set myself for my birthday in August and that I've hit it in June. I'm absolutely over the moon. My next milestone is 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I mean, imagine 2,000 people in one space. That's just an insane amount of people, and I'm really grateful to all the support I've had on this channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the best reads that I've had of this year so far. This year, I think for everyone that is a reader, has been strange. It's been an incredible reading year because I feel like a lot of us have suddenly had time to read, which has been nice, I guess. I set myself a goal of reading 50 books this year. I don't think I've ever read 50 books in one year ever. And I'm currently sat on having read 59 books this year so far. And we're only halfway through the year. Do I think I can make it to 100? Probably not. I mean, I do expect that we're going to go back to some sort of reality soon. Even though I have been working throughout, I've been working from home, which has made my commute time less. It means that on my lunch breaks I have my books here to read, on my toilet breaks. So generally I've just still been able to do more reading than what I would if I had to commute into the office. Which obviously at some point it has to come to an end, but that's really a big perk of working from home. Anyway, so I've read 59 books this year, and actually I'm having quite a mediocre reading year. When I was picking out books, or when I was looking at the list of books that I've read for this year to pick out my favourites so far, I never intended to sort of have a set figure on the ones I wanted to talk about. If I liked all 59 of them, I would have spoke about how all 59 were my favourite reads. As it is, I think I've only got 9 books that I want to talk about, and 2 of them are from the same series. If you want to see a full list of books that I've read this year, I'll leave a link in the description which will just take you to the Goodreads challenge page, which will just show you all my all the book covers of the books that I've read this year so far. I don't know what has inspired me to pick up the books that I have read. Some of them have been arcs that I've just not enjoyed that much. Some of them, namely Girl Serving Phone, was one of my highly anticipated reads this year, but it turned out that I just thought it was good. It wasn't anything great. It certainly wasn't one of my, I wouldn't say it was a favourite read so far. But I do want to, going forward, start reading more books that I'm going to highly anticipate, instead of just picking random books off my shelves thinking I'll just read that just because I've had it for so long. And I think that's been the problem, especially because I don't buy books new. I buy them when I see them secondhand. Sometimes I'm not always buying and reading the books that I actually want to be reading. But enough rambling about how I've had a mediocre reading year, let's just jump straight into it. So the first book that was instantly a favourite, I believe I read this in January. I acquired this book off Rebecca Reeds, who is my best friend. She'll have commented on this video, so you'll be able to find her channel link through a comment, because she always comments on everything that I do. She actually gave me this book because she read the first couple of chapters and she just wasn't enjoying it. So she asked me if I wanted to read it because it was on my Amazon wishlist, and I said yes, I would take it off her hands. And because she didn't enjoy it and we generally have the same reading taste, I didn't have a lot of great expectation. I mean, I was just going to be happy if I just enjoyed this book. But about a fifth of the way into it, I absolutely could not put this book down, and that is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I believe in the US it might be The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, to not coincide with The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. But I absolutely love this book. It's actually one of my favourite reads of all time. I have since lent it out to other family members because I wanted to know what their opinion of it was, and they all had the same opinion of me. But this book is a little bit like Marmite. I know some people either really love it or really hate it. This is the debut novel of Stuart Turton. He does have a new book out this year, and I'm really highly anticipated buying that one as well. It's hard to describe this book without ruining a lot of the plot twists. This is a crime novel. It's set in sort of like a fake Agatha Christie-esque world. From the start, and not a lot is given away to the reader at all. You don't know who the main character is, you don't know what he's doing, where he is or why he's even there, how long he's been there. You don't know anything. All you know is that you're a character and you wake up in a body, you don't know who you are, you have absolutely no memories of anything prior to what's happening now, and you don't even know who you are. You see a house in the distance and you go to the house and people there know you, so you're starting to try and build up a picture of who you are. However, this doesn't last very long, because once you go to sleep at the end of that day, you then wake up as a different person. You are informed by like a Grim Reaper style person that you are at the scene of a crime, and you are living the lives of all of the key witnesses to the murder of a young girl. And your character is put in the bodies of everyone, and they know that, so every time they change body, they're aware that they still carry the memories of the other witnesses' bodies that they've been in, but they take on their own characteristics and their personas. So our main character goes through quite a ride, and I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but this book is just so complex and so complicated. The main character is trying to find out who the murderer is by using the memories of that specific day of the key witness. So they go about their day as if they were that witness, trying to find clues in their day as to who might have done it. It's quite a lengthy book, there is a lot to it. And it took me a couple of days to read, but honestly once I started reading it, I just couldn't put it down. There's a lot more that I want to say about it, but I feel like knowing them elements to it would spoil the plot. So I don't want to say much more. I'm just going to check what's on the back actually to see if there's any more I can talk about. So at the manor where this girl is murdered, the main character realises that he actually can't leave that house. Something always stops him when he tries to leave, and the only way to break the cycle is to solve the crime and to solve the murder. Personally, I absolutely loved this. I love crime, and I thought that this was a very fresh take on the crime genre as a whole. If you're a fan of the Agatha Christie novels and want something that's more fresh and updated and modern, I would highly recommend this. If you're into anything that has just a great plot twist and you don't see the end coming at all, I'd also highly recommend this. The next book I toyed with actually putting this in my video. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to class this as one of the favourite reads of my year so far. I don't anticipate it being one of my favourite reads of the year, but I still enjoyed it and I found that it was entertaining, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six. This is a work of fiction by Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is an author that I've only just discovered this year, but I'm reading her other works and I'm really enjoying her short stories. This is set in the 70s and 80s in America, and we follow Daisy Jones, who is a solo artist. She's very young at the time, and she's trying to make a name for herself in music, and also the Six, who are a separate band who are fronted by Billy. He's the co-founder of the band. He founded it with his brother, and there's 4 other members who are all troubled, and they've all got issues and problems, and they are trying to make them a name for themselves as the Six. Daisy Jones and the band the Six come into contact with each other and their lives start to coincide. This book essentially to me felt like Fleetwood Mac fan fiction because of the dynamic of the band and the problems that the band members face. I personally, even though Daisy Jones was like the main character of this novel, I really didn't like her at all. The reason that I kept reading this book and enjoying it was because of Billy, and I know not a lot of people like Billy, who's the frontman of the Six, but to me he felt like the most real and the most accurate caricature of music and bands in the 70s and 80s. He deals with drugs and alcohol, he deals with fame and the effects that fame have on him as a person, and I also enjoyed the side characters who are the Six, especially Karen, who is a woman that plays an instrument in the Six, and her storyline is actually quite developed for a side character, as well as Graham, who is Billy's brother. It goes a lot into Billy's family life as well. He gets a wife who is quiet, demure, and doesn't really want anything to do with the fame lifestyle. She's just a normal, average woman. I also really enjoyed that this book reads like a transcript of an interview. So there is sort of like a narrator who is they are the interviewer, but they don't speak throughout the novel. It's just sort of the characters like Daisy and Karen and Billy answering questions or telling their side of the story about what they thought happened to the band. The band at the height of their career, well, Daisy Jones and the Six at the height of their career quit music altogether and disappear off the face of the earth really, and it's all about how the band grew, and then why at the height of their fame they disbanded and went their own ways and left. I really enjoy rock bands from the 1970s and 80s, so I did generally enjoy the idea of this book. I just didn't particularly like the execution because of Daisy, who I found was a character that I just didn't like. If she had been more likeable, I probably would have liked it a bit more, but I understand that she's not necessarily meant to be likeable because she is problematic. But if you are like me, a Fleetwood Mac fangirl who absolutely loves Stevie Nicks, I mean, Daisy Jones is a caricature of Stevie Nicks. She's meant to be this like hippie flowy girl that doesn't wear shoes on stage. I'm just saying. So if you enjoy that, you will probably enjoy this. And I thought at the end it was really nice to have the addition of the lyrics of their made-up songs as well, which just made it all seem like a little bit real. And I love that the author put the time and effort into thinking, what would their songs have actually been like? What would they have actually said in their words? Which again, I really liked it. It made it more like, seem like non-fiction than fiction, even though it is fiction. So the next two books are from the same series. They are book 1 and book 4 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Book 1 was a reread for me. I read it a couple of years ago, but I never got around to reading book 4 and book 5 because I didn't own them at the time, because I buy them secondhand, and it took me a while to find them. So I read book 4 this month and I absolutely loved it. I'm currently reading book 5, but I'm only halfway through, but I don't know, I was already halfway through these two and I already realised these were like amazing books and that they would be 5-star reads. Book 5, I'm not feeling it as much. It's more like book 2 and book 3 where I rated them 4 stars. This is quite an old series, but surprisingly not a lot of people have read it. I also came to this series very late. I started reading the first book when I was about 23 or 24. I'm now nearly 27. And I'm still reading the series and trying to get it finished, but I absolutely love it. I'm not going to talk about book 4, obviously, because if you haven't read the series, I don't want it to be spoiled. But I do want to let people know that if you did get to book 2 and book 3 and think about quitting the series, book 4 is honestly the best book of the series. And I'm not alone in thinking that as well. Quite a lot of people told me, get to book 4 and the series will just pick up. So I absolutely love this one. But in case you haven't read the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, I'm going to tell you a little bit about book 1. In book 1 we have Percy, who at the time is 12 years old. With every book after that he ages 1 year. But in this one we have a 12-year-old boy who is diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. He's struggling through school and something happens on a school trip which is out of the ordinary. His dad isn't in the picture. He lives with his mum, who he loves very much, but she has been keeping a secret from him about the true identity of his father. I'm not going to tell you who that is because that's one of the main sort of surprises of the book. But Percy Jackson is actually a demigod, and he ends up being taken by his mother to a special summer camp for half-bloods, and there he's told that his father is one of the many Greek gods. Although his time at camp is very soon interrupted because things start to be going wrong in the Greek god world. Rick Riordan very much draws on comedy for these, even though that they are middle grade. I do love like the quirkiness of the writing of this, and some of the things that are said, they just make me laugh a lot. So if you're looking for a middle grade with really good sense of humour, I'd recommend picking something up by Rick Riordan. It's very well written. I really love Percy and his little gang of friends. It very much draws on Greek mythology. I feel like this book actually teaches you like a little bit about Greek mythology. It's like educational running underneath it, which would make sense because Rick Riordan was a school teacher, but it certainly doesn't feel like you're getting a lesson. It certainly doesn't read educational and boring. But now I feel like I'd be able to know the difference or hold a conversation about who the individual Greek gods were and what happened to them, because it heavily draws on the stories that come from myths and legends. But I feel like I've said a lot about this now, so I'm going to put it down and move on to the next one. But if you haven't read this is fantastic. Once I finish the series, I'm going to have a more in-depth video discussion about the plot, non-spoilery and spoilery as well. So if you're interested, look out for that. Next I have a book which I've already reviewed on my channel, so you probably are not surprised that it's here, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Osman. I do have book 1 and book 2, but I've just picked up book 1 for now. This is a graphic novel. It is a series of comics which you can read online, but I just prefer to have it in a book, and that I've paid for it and support has gone to the author. I genuinely had so much entertainment from this book. It's also LGBT and it's a fantastic representation of bisexuality in media. This to me feels just like a little bubble of happiness. The adults in this series are just genuine allies that act like they should, and we follow Nick and Charlie who are at school. The main character is sort of Charlie, who is this boy right here. He is the only out guy at school. He is gay. He gets put into tutor group with Nick, who is in the year above him. Let's just see if we can find a nice picture of the two of them. And they are in the same tutor group and they get put next to each other, and they don't know each other, but they start an unlikely friendship, and something else is there, some chemistry is there that wouldn't have been there just for normal friends, you know. But Charlie has always considered himself straight. He's never thought about having a relationship with the same gender, and it's just so nice and so sweet the way that everything develops. It feels so natural, and it also reminds me of my experience through high school and discovering who I was. So I really love this, and I can't wait to get volume 3, which I'm probably going to buy with my birthday money in August. If you want to see more in depth about that book, I think I have about a 20-minute video on it, just talking more about the plot and what I thought of the novel itself, but that's definitely going to be something that's on my favourite reads of the year. The next one I also have a review / reading vlog for if you're interested more in it, but I've talked about this a lot on this channel, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Otherwise I feel like I could be here for a long time. And that is Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. If I had to pick one book as my standout best read of the year so far, it would be this. This is a new adult urban fantasy, which is a genre that I've just never read before and really enjoyed. If you're not new here, you'll know that I generally don't like Sarah J Maas's books. But this one has totally flipped what I think of her writing and where she goes with her plot capabilities and everything. I just have a new whole-found respect for Sarah J Maas, and I loved this book. I loved this so much. This book is truly humongous. It is nearly 800 pages. There's so many words on each page. It took me like 2 weeks of solidly reading this to actually finish it. There's so much to it though that I truly can't summarise how amazing this book is just in one video alone. Our main character is Bryce Quinlan. She works in an art gallery. She is half human, half fae, which is like a common theme for Sarah J Maas. She lives with her best friend who is a werewolf called Danica. They're party girls. They have other friends that they go out and party and drink with and do drugs with, and life is great for her. And then a demon murders her best friend Danica. This isn't a spoiler, by the way. This happens within the first like 30 pages and it drives the entire plot, and it tells you in the synopsis. Then we fast forward 2 years and the Law and Order, I guess. You'll know what I mean or why I'm hesitant to say that if you've read the book, because it's not very clear-cut who is Law and Order in this book and in this world. That they may have imprisoned the wrong person for the crime, that the real murderer may still be out there, and they task Bryce and a fallen angel called Hunt to work out what has happened and who murdered Danica. However, there's also a second crime that's ongoing. A magical artifact has been stolen from a temple, and they also think that that might be linked, or that might be able to get solved by solving the murder of Danica. But when I just say like this book is a crime, I mean that is just like a tiny portion of it. This world is just so complex. There's so much that has gone into it politically, mythically. There's like a whole magic system that's unique. There's a whole legend system. There's a religion. There's multiple religions actually. There's angels. There's all types of creatures in this book that make up and live in this Crescent City, that it's just absolutely insane to describe. I can't describe the level of detail that has gone into this book. It's mind-blowing, and I feel like I'm not doing a very good job of describing it in this video. I do have honestly a better video on it, which I would highly recommend you go and read that, because I don't know what's with me today. I'm just overly excited about books and not able to put thoughts into words. Another book which I read, which, like Daisy Jones, it was good, but it wasn't like great, and again I had some thoughts about actually putting it in this video, and that is One of Us is Lying. This is quite a popular young adult crime novel, but I don't think I'd read a lot of young adult crimes, so I just wanted to try it and see what it was like. In this book, 5 students go into detention, but only 4 leave. One of them sadly does end up dying, and the police believe that it has to have been one of the 4 students that caused the death of this other student that died in detention. The other 4 students are nothing like each other. There's a girl that's very popular, there's a boy that is a jock, then you've got another boy that is a criminal that nobody really likes or respects, and you have a girl that's a straight A student that never gets into trouble. They aren't friends at school, they don't talk, but they are sort of pushed together as a group, and they do make unlikely friends because they're trying to, you know, save each other and work out what actually happened so that none of them wrongly go to jail. The reason that I liked this book a lot was because it had a good focus on friendship and relationship building for a YA especially. I thought it did that very, very well. I thought it was a very accurate depiction of teenage school life. It was very well written and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really entertaining and I would recommend it. And the final book that I have to talk about is All Boys Aren't Blue, and I listened to this on Scribd as an audiobook, but I'm really pleased that I did listen to it instead of reading it, and it's because it's narrated by the author himself, and because it's a collection of personal stories, it's a non-fiction about the author's experience through life of being a person of colour and also being LGBT. It was nice to hear the actual story come from him, and it made me feel more connected to the author. So if you do want to listen to it on audiobook, it is on Scribd, and that's how I chose to listen to it. I mean, this author has really had a tough time, and his hardship has really come from the things that he cannot change as a person and about who he is and what makes him up, and that is mostly to do with his gender identity, with his sexuality, and that he is a person of colour. This author's experiences have been truly horrific, so I would not recommend reading or listening to this book if you have, or if you're sensitive to sexual assault or abuse. I wouldn't listen to this necessarily because I wasn't prepared for some of the stuff in this book, but I feel like it's an important point of view to read so that you can sort of understand more about people's life experiences beyond what you can experience yourself as a person. It's not very linear. He's not sort of writing a documentary about his experience from childhood to adulthood. He dips in and out of different experiences from his own timeline, but it's quite short. I think the audiobook is only about 7 hours long, so I would recommend it if you're looking for something that's non-fiction and informative about other people's points of views and their experiences. And I do wish the author best of luck on getting his book out there because it is his debut piece of writing. So I think that is it for me today. If you want to see the books that I have discarded, like I said, there'll be a link in the description to the Goodreads page where it gives you a list of everything that I've read. I genuinely thought that I would have had more books to talk about, having read 59, but I'm not having a good time, guys. I'm not having a good reading yet, and I am determined to get that changed around. Hopefully July through to December will be better reading months for me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.